My name's Sally and I'm from Essex. I'm a Christian and I'm an out and proud parent of my queer daughter whose name is Grace. Religion played a part in my upbringing. From approximately the age of about 8, my mum became a Christian. So from that point onwards, really going to church and growing in my own Christian faith. Started from childhood, really. My daughter Grace is amazing. She's a young adult and she identifies as queer. She is an amazing young woman. She's works as a community worker. She works with vulnerable people. She's also a volunteer youth and children worker, and she's incredible. And I'm very proud of her for everything she does, for everything about her, including the fact of her being queer. And she herself tries to, encourage and support other queer young people. So she's pretty amazing. She came out to me during a car journey. We were just, I don't remember where we'd been, but we were driving home. And as I was driving, she told me that she thought she was bisexual. And I just reacted not very well. I was like, no, I don't think you are. No, you can't be. I sort of mumbled jumbled a lot of gobbledygook, I think. And we soon arrived home and we got out of the car and entered the house and didn't speak of it for several months. I think as I say, I think I was in denial, maybe. I didn't have the words to say how I felt. She probably was worried about my reaction, and I think we both just buried our heads in the sand for a while before we spoke of it again. I had no clues at all that Grace identified as queer, so it was quite a shock when she came out to me. And to be honest, I just buried my head in the sand. I didn't really react very well on reflection. And bless her, because having been brave enough to come out to me, we then didn't really talk about it for several months after she told me. I think what was going through my mind, I think there was the initial shock. I think there was an element of fear for her future, of what that might hold. Fear of, I wasn't frightened that I would reject her, but I was fearful of maybe other members of the family, of friends, church, that might reject her. So I think I kind of did the classic thing of thinking maybe it's just a phase, which I kind of now know is just ridiculous. But maybe it's just a phase, and maybe if I bury my head in the sand, it'll go away somehow. And having not said anything for a day became a week, it became a month, and we just didn't broach the subject again, as I say, for several months. I think I reacted in that way out of fear and out of ignorance, really. I think I do. There's a kind of the classic kind of line of, love the sinner, hate the sin, and like things like that, which I now just like, how ridiculous. But kind of phrases like that I'd heard and churned out myself, probably. So yeah, a real fear of what did the future hold for her if this was her path. And as I said, a fear of rejection from family and friends, and just what her life would hold if this was her path. So I think ignorance is a big part of it, really. That I think I was ignorant about what it means to have a different sexuality than the norm, and ignorance about actually what the Bible has to say about it, and yeah. So that's how I would sum it up. A combination of ignorance and fear meant that I didn't react very well. And I regret that now. And I see videos and things of other parents reacting so beautifully. And I think, oh, I didn't react well. But I hopefully made up for it in the long run. I decided to sort of study. I read books and, educated myself. And also combined with that, realised that actually the key members of our family and our friends didn't reject Grace. They accepted her and they loved her. And so that element of fear as regards that was gone. And I was able to see her flourish actually and bloom. And that was quite impactful to see her, she'd always been fabulous, my precious daughter, but to see her bloom. And I realised actually, yes, she's living her true identity. She's being herself. She doesn't have a mask on anymore. She's not sort of trying to hide her true self. And that was a beautiful thing to see. And that certainly helped me a lot to come to terms with and actually celebrate and, fully identify as an ally to the LGBTQIA plus community. Yeah. As regards our faith communities, Grace grew up in the church that I'm a member of, but as part of her kind of coming out process, she became involved in another church locally, which has gone on to be a fully affirming church. And that's been really, I think, really healing and really beneficial for her. Yeah, and so for my own church community, I think it's a denomination that still is not affirming. So that's been quite challenging for me to feel at home as much there as I used to, put it that way. And there's a kind of a mixed emotion as to whether to sort of just leave almost, actually, or whether to sort of stay and fight. Like, nothing changes. If people don't stay and change things, then nothing changes. But it's tough, isn't it, to be part of a fight, I guess, or a movement for change is quite draining. But many of my Christian friends from my faith community are fully affirming, fully inclusive, fully embracing of the queer community, and others maybe are still on a journey as regards that. I hope that being an out and proud parent has had a positive effect on others around me, both in my faith community. Grace and I are both involved in a youth ministry, and just recently I had my ally badge on my lanyard, and one of my teenage girls kind of noticed it and knew what it was, and just commented, "Oh, I'm glad to see you're wearing that," kind of thing. And I don't know what's going on in her life, but I thought, gosh, it's so important. It's so important that she knows, and maybe others know, that I'm a safe person for them to confide in, maybe. So yeah, I'm out and proud, and you know, wanting to support, you know, young people in particular. I think it's really important for out and proud parents to be visible, because, you know, no matter what you're facing in life, you can feel very much alone, like you're the only person going through this. And we know from all the different charities around that, you know, are often set up by individuals that have been through something, and very quickly gather a community around them, so that they realise, actually, I'm not on my own. There are other people going through, whether it's an illness or whatever it is. And I think it's the same with this. To, you know, our young people need their parents, you know, even when they're young adults and they're growing up and they've got jobs and they're out in the world, they still need us as parents, and they need us to support them. And other parents who are perhaps feeling alone need to know that they're not alone, and that there are other people that have been through what they're going through right now, today, you know, somebody today whose young person is coming out to them, and who are maybe feeling a bit shocked and about to bury their head in the sand. They need to know that there's other people out there who have been there and who are willing to point them in the right direction and give them some guidance and support, and you know, a friendly face and a reassurance that it's going to be okay. Since Grace came out to me, I would say our relationship has got better. I think it was always a good relationship. And apart from the initial wobble when I first discovered that she was queer, and I was very confused and fearful, since I've done my research and done some education, and seen her blossom and seen her just bloom as a person, I would say our relationship is strong, and I know that she appreciates my support of her and my lovely daughter-in-law to be. You know, we're close, and it's fantastic. And I guess maybe that was part of the fear, you know, that I would lose that, or that, you know, that my husband might reject her and I would lose my family unit. So I'm blessed and I'm grateful that that didn't happen. You know, my fears weren't realised, and that we're strong as a family together. Grace makes me proud every day. She's fantastic. She's an amazing young woman. She's inclusive, she's friendly, she's funny, she's intelligent. She's just a wonderful all-round person. And I know all parents are supposed to say that about their children, but she is amazing. And actually, her being queer is just a percentage of her, you know? There's so much more to say about Grace than the fact that she's queer. And sometimes when you first discover that your young person is queer, it becomes all-encompassing. It could be all you can think of. And it's actually to realise it's just a small piece of the pie chart about your child. You know, they're still the same person. They still have the same skills, the same qualities, the same loves and dislikes. And so I'm just proud of who she is, and for how she's journeyed through this process, actually, and how she wants to include and encourage other queer young people as well. That makes me super proud of her. I think some parents struggle to accept their child because they maybe have grown up, like me, in a culture where this community was unseen, really. You don't know anybody, if you've never experienced anybody in your family or friendship circle who is queer, then you don't know anything about that community. You don't know anything about those people. You don't know that they're just normal people like everybody else. So it's kind of, I think it's fear of the unknown. And I think for some of us, we have grown up with religious ideas around the queer community. And maybe it's something that we've never really looked at. We've never really studied for ourselves. We've maybe accepted teaching as fact. And we've not had to challenge it or wonder whether it's correct, because actually we don't know anybody that it affects. So we just accept it as fact and carry on with our lives. And I think it's only actually when it's a member of your family, especially a close, beloved child, that then you're put in a position where actually I need to face this head on. And actually all those things that I've been taught and just accepted and reverberated myself to other people. Actually, I need to actually study this for myself now. And I actually need to have a greater understanding of this and the truth of this and the truth of my faith. And the truth of my faith in a loving God who loves everyone and accepts everyone. So I think, I think parents maybe come from a place of fear and a place of ignorance. And once that fear is dispelled and once that education and that learning journey occurs, then I think you come to a place of acceptance, and you can kind of think, why did I make such a fuss? Because it's really not a problem. But there's a journey to go through before you get there. I think religion and culture do play a huge part. It has been interesting to me that the vast majority of people of no faith are totally accepting and affirming and inclusive. Although I wouldn't say that was 100%. I have known of people of no faith who have equally responded not great. So, and equally there have people, people of faith who have responded really well, absolutely fine. So it's interesting, isn't it? But I think sometimes when you are part of a faith community, there's the fear of rejection from family and friends that everybody might worry about. And then there's this additional layer of fear that comes from a whole a culture, a religion that is a massive part of your life, and kind of identifies you in many ways. So for that to be a source of rejection, it's where do you go from there? It's literally who you are, and you've got to kind of literally reinvent yourself if that's not going to be a part of your life anymore. Which I think maybe is where some end up kind of rejecting their young person, because it's such a huge part of their lives. I think if you're struggling to accept your child and the news that they've given you about their sexuality, then I would say please just keep listening to your young person. They're the expert in this situation. Keep listening and keep learning. Reach out to other parents, read lots of books, get lots of personal stories from people who have come out, especially people from a faith point of view. There's some great books out there. There are some fantastic books that have really looked into the theology. I mean, I'm speaking from a Christian point of view, but the theology of the Christian faith and what the Bible really does have to say about this topic. And I would encourage you just to keep loving your child. Just love, 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 love. Love and listen and learn. There you go, 3 L's. Love, listen and learn. And you'll get there. You'll get there. And when you do, it's wonderful. And you'll see your child blossom as you keep loving them and looking after them. And yeah, you'll look back and you'll wonder why you ever worried quite so much. To a young person who has just come out to their family and is maybe experiencing some rejection, and maybe you're feeling a bit hopeless, then I would say to keep going, to find your tribe, find your people. There are people just like you out there who know exactly what you're going through and who are willing to support you and who are willing to help you and who are willing to love you. And find them and hold on tight to them. Keep lines of communication open. And I really hope for you that one day they'll be able to accept you and love you as you deserve. Grace, if you're watching this, I want to tell you how much I love you and how proud I am of you. Thank you for being patient with me as I learnt more about the LGBT plus community. And thank you for being fabulous. Thank you for being an amazing advocate for young people, and particularly the queer community that you're a part of. And I think you're fabulous, and I love doing life with you. So keep going.